Hello, Internet. It is I, Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today we're going to be talking about Saw X. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros. So, this is the 10th Saw movie, which is why it's called Saw X. This series has been around for almost 2 decades. Started all the way back in 2004 with the original. A very, very, very low budget movie that had a strong opening weekend, good legs, made 100 million on like a 1 million budget. Nice amount of profit there. So they made another one, and 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 another one. For 7 straight years, a Saw movie came out for Halloween weekend or pre-Halloween weekend. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in 3D or 7 or the final chapter. It goes under several different names. And the series, like all these movies made money, although they started to really dip after a while with Saw 6 doing kind of terrible, honestly, despite being low budget. It's like compared to the others, it did bad, which is really hard to understand because it's one of the better movies in the series, but I guess people just I think it was because of two things. Maybe I think it was franchise fatigue and Paranormal Activity coming out that same at the same time. More people gravitated towards that than Saw. But Saw 3D did make more money, so at least it ended on a high note, money wise. Creatively, it's an awful movie. But yeah, that's how it was, and many people believe that was it for Saw. Like no more. Then 7 years later, we got Jigsaw, which was supposed to bring the franchise back, and it didn't really do that. I mean, it didn't embarrass itself, but Lionsgate, they were hoping for a bit more. We're open with like 16 million, made like 100 million worldwide. So then they're like, okay, let's change things up a bit. Actually, not a bit. Let's change things up a lot. Let's do something really different. So then we have Spiral, which it feels weird putting this in the. It doesn't really belong in this series. Honestly, it doesn't really have the vibe, the same vibe as the other movies. Because that movie starred Chris Rock, and it was basically his whole idea, and it was really weird. And that movie came out at a really bad time for movies. Um, but I mean, considering the circumstances, it didn't do like awful, but it didn't do all that good. And now here we are with Saw X. So the Saw movies, they have a pretty long history of success. Pretty much, I'm pretty sure all of them have made back their money. So yeah. um, So I guess I have to label that as a pro. Saw movies have been successful, for a long time. Like Saw 2 through 5, all of them open above 30 million, which is that's nice. That's a consistency. That's good consistency. So yeah, and the fact that the Saw movies obviously have their fans, me being one of them. So obviously the fans are gonna care. They're gonna be the first ones to watch this movie, which is what I did. Because I watched this like a Thursday night, like as soon as I could. So yeah, obviously brand name recognition, all the fans are gonna show up immediately. So that's pro number one. Pro number two are the reviews, is something I thought I would never say about a Saw movie. And initially, when I looked at the early reviews, I was like, huh, okay, that's weird. And then I was wondering, it's probably going to drop to like 60, 50 something percent. No, the review score, I shit you not, is 87%, which is leagues better than all the other Saw movies. Even the original, that was 50%. This is 87%. I don't know how in the hell that even happened. I really don't. It's it's wild to me. But it's 2023. Anything can happen. But yeah, that 87% is like the best of the weekend. I think it's like one of the best reviewed things in like the past few months, really. Like that number is crazy to me. Cause I really thought it would be lower. I really thought it would be like between like 40 and 50%. But 87%, that's crazy to me. So yeah, 87% critic score, 91% audience score, which I say is quite good. And its cinema score is a B, which doesn't sound good initially, but considering, how horror movies have a rough time with cinema score. So this score is actually above average. I mean, for comparison, The Nun 2 got a C plus. And Talk to Me got a B plus. Trying to look at some others. Let's look at the other Saw movies just for comparison's sake. Saw, the original, C plus. Weird. Okay, Saw 2 B plus, Saw 3 B, Saw 4 B, Saw 5 C. People did not like that one. Saw 6 B, Saw 3D B minus, Jigsaw B. What was Spiral? I'm curious. Did it even have a cinema score? Spiral got a B minus. So this is definitely the upper half of the series. Definitely. So yeah, great critic score, strong, good audience score, and solid cinema score. All those are positives. So that's a pro. Uh, Trying to think of another pro. Really, I guess there's no direct competition. I mean, there's been like several horror movies that have already come out this month. The Nun 2, obviously, but that movie's old. That's 4 weeks old. No one cares about it anymore. And then Haunting in Venice. That's not really. It's less of a horror movie and more of a supernatural movie. Kinda. It's not like a horror movie like this. So yeah, there's no serious competition this weekend. There will be later, but for right now, there's nothing too serious. So that's a positive. That's a pro. Okay. I think that's it. Is it? Yeah, that's it. Cons. Actually, I should label a Thursday preview. I haven't talked about that. 2 million. That's not too bad for a series that's gone on this long. I mean, for comparison's sake, Jigsaw, this, uh, that had a Thursday preview of 1.6 million. So I mean, looks good compared to that, and it looks really good when compared to Spiral. That had a Thursday preview of 760K. Obviously, Spiral had way more issues to deal with, but yeah, so its preview number looks good in comparison to its two prior movies. So I label that as a positive. So that's a pro. And I guess there's also the fact that this movie, uh, Tobin Bell is back as John Kramer, aka Jigsaw. He is very much the main character, which is something that none of the other movies ever did, really. Like this is like the Tobin Bell show, pretty much, which I think was a good idea because many people consider his character to be the most compelling part of all these movies. Like he's the best part. So having a whole movie about him, that's an awesome idea. And it clearly paid off, judging by the reviews. So yeah, having like Tobin Bell's Jigsaw like front and center the whole movie, I'd say that's a pro, definitely. Especially for me. Okay, cons. This is the 10th movie, man. 10th. I mean, at this point, like when a series goes on for this long, the only people who really care are the diehards, the core fans. Everyone else has jumped ship. They're just gone at this point. So yeah, and there's already like been a clear point where the most of the diehards, not of like most of the casual audience left. Now it's with Saw 6, and look at that drop. Felt like it made like half as much as 5. But even then, like you could just see the audience bleed out over time to a rather concerning degree. So yeah, but the thing is, watching Saw X, as someone who did watch it, it's kind of I guess a bit of a standalone sequel where you don't really need to see most of these movies to get it. I think you only need to really see the first movie, and that's really it. Maybe 2 or 3, but really the first movie, and you're good to go. Like you don't need to watch 4, 5, 6. You don't need to watch any of them. It's not necessary. So, well, actually, you only need to see Saw 1 and 2, just those two. That's it. Because this is an in between chapters. Saw X is technically Saw 1.5 because it takes place in between 1 and 2. But yeah, Saw X, it's not necessary for you to watch all these movies to get it, but still, like 10 movies deep, the only people who really care are the core fans. So that's a problem. It's going to be hard to expand your audience. So that's a big con right there. And another con is the fact that competition is going to get fierce very fast. Because next weekend you have Exorcist Believer, which is very much direct competition. And then the week after that, you got the Taylor Swift Eras Tour movie, which is going to make all the money and steal all the money away from all the other movies, including Saw X. So that's going to be a big problem too. And the thing is, if the Taylor Swift Eras Tour never happened, if things went the way they were supposed to, then it would have been a 2 week gap between Saw X and Exorcist Believer, to where Saw X would have 2 weeks to live. But now it only has one. So it better make all the money it can now. So yeah. So future competition is gonna be rough. So that's a con. And I think that's really it. Yeah, that's it. So opening weekend. Okay, let's go. Let's compare this to the other Saw movies. I don't think it's gonna reach 30. I think that's a little ambitious. Because obviously at this point, this movie's gonna be front loaded. A lot of these Saw movies are extremely front loaded. Some of them didn't even double their opening weekends. That's how front loaded they were. I don't think this movie will have the same problem. It helps that reception is a whole lot better. So, I still think it'll be fairly front loaded opening weekend. I don't know. I guess Jigsaw seems like a reasonable comparison. That opened with 16 million. I think Saw X will do better than that. I think it could maybe flirt with 20, but I don't know. That might be a bit much. I'm gonna say, okay, shoot, 18 to 20 million, maybe. I think seems right to me. 18 to 20 million, and then its total. Oof, I feel like it's gonna be a fight between the fanboy effect and reviews and competition. It's gonna be those three things that determine how the movie does in the long run. Um, I don't think it'll crumble immediately, but I feel like it'll be fairly front loaded. I'm gonna say 40 million. I'm gonna say 40 million just to be safe. Which wouldn't be bad for the franchise standards. I mean, the movie only cost like 13 million. It's cheap like all the other ones, so it won't take much for it to make its money back. So yeah, I'm gonna go with 40 million total. But I wouldn't be surprised if it did better than that. But we'll see. And yeah, that's it. That's it for the weekend. We're done. Yeehaw. We're done with September. Thank God. That month was depressing as hell. But it's over now. And at least it ended with a bang, more or less, after the last few weeks, being as depressing as they were. Now we move on to October, where next weekend we talk about Exorcist Believer. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. Want to check out more videos like this? I got playlists on the homepage, all previous prediction videos I made this year. You want to watch any of them, or any of the ones I've done the past few years? Any of them, watch them all. Do that. There's also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. So Saw X. Uh, I talked about this 2 times. The first time was episode 149. Uh, where I talked about it alongside Amsterdam. And that was like when it initially got its October release date. Its traditional like pre-Halloween release date. For this series, except Spiral. Spiral didn't do that for some reason, which I still don't get. Then the second time I talked about it was a couple months back, episode 197, where Lionsgate made the very bold choice, to move Saw from October to September. Like, move it up by a whole month. And I was like, oh, huh. Okay. It was apparently because they were very confident in the movie, and it seems like they were justified being confident. Judged by the response to the movie. But yeah, I talked about Saw X alongside Whitebird, Dirty Dancing 2, Borderlands, and Ferrari. So yeah, that was the second time I talked about it. So if you want to watch those 2 episodes or any other ones I've done on the channel, now I've done 208 episodes total. So if you want to watch any of them from beginning to now, you want to binge them all from beginning to now, I highly encourage you to do that. So go do it. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. I just did my 3-part summer 2023 recap videos. It was a lot, but it got it done, and I'm glad it's out of my life. So you want to watch those 3 videos, go right ahead. And for my September recap, that won't come out till like about 2.5 weeks from now. Should be a very interesting video, albeit a very negative video, because September was not great. But, it was still somewhat interesting, which, is better than nothing. So stay tuned for that video. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I made on the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.